Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. It's Monday, we're back in Dunera. I'm going to be drinking a lot of coffee throughout this because I got off a plane from Texas not that long ago and I didn't sleep. So I'm going to be, go through a lot of coffee. But other than that, let's hop around and say hello to everyone. Hello, Jay Guns Gold.
Hi, I'm Jay Guns Gold or Jay, and I'm playing Paula Packer, who had a very anxious day yesterday, but we'll see how today goes. Hopefully, there's a few less shadow people. But yeah, I'm really excited to be back again.
Fantastic, thank you. And then we're going to hop down to the very lovely tour school. Hello.
Hi, how's everyone doing today? I am all kinds of excited about seeing what is next here in Dunera. I will be playing Tolan Falk. He is a little more, has a little more mileage on him than the rest of the group. But all sorts of interesting things in his history and background as the story of Dunera is unfolding. I'm looking forward to see what all happens.
Awesome, thank you. And then we're going to hop around to the lovely V, or the crafting news.
Hi everyone, and happy Monday. I'm V. You can find me over on YouTube. Tonight I am playing Nadi, and she is our lovely little magic user who is finding out a little bit more about herself thanks to Mr. Tolensar. And she has her lovely little animal familiar, Prema, who is a very judgmental otter.
That's an otter with sass. And last but certainly not least, Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie. I go by J Graveyard just about everywhere. I play Charlie here and her little familiar friend, Allegro, or Al. It's a little seahorse. And yeah, also a magic kid, and we have yet to find out a whole lot about her. Other than she works at a flower shop.
Perfect, thank you. And last week, this is me remembering in a daze, we had, so I guess, an attack in the library whilst Paula was in there, and the GM intrusion was that Noah was in fact in there when she closed the doors behind, but with the help of Matthias they got Noah out, and I think things are a little bit iffy between Paula and Matthias right now. He's feeling a bit down because she doesn't trust him at all. And he's sad now, Jay. But other than that, everyone headed to Aggie's with Noah. And it was interesting. It seems Aggie has now roped Paula into categorizing all of her books. They ate a meal and they just learned a little bit more about Noah. As he did recover, he was fine, but he was left with a mark on his arm, almost like a couple of white fingerprints where this thing had grabbed him. And Tolan had a chat with Matthias and got to know Matthias just a tiny bit better as he was checking up that everything was okay. And now we find ourselves the next day. And the next day, it is the last day of the night market. And the city seems to be going about its everyday business. You can see the night market is setting up a little earlier as it is the last day. All the flowers and all of the berries are really sort of like opening up and growing as the morning sun comes in. And everything seems fine, but there are more people about, people you don't necessarily see all the time wandering the streets now. So first of all, we're going to hop over to Paula. What is Paula doing where are you this morning?
I am back in my room. I finally took a shower after a couple days without showering, and got cleaned up, and I think Paula's feeling a lot more calm this morning after being surrounded by a supportive group of people last night. I think she's in a much better headspace than she was before, but she has some regrets about the night before, and so she's a little solemn, but at least not fearful as much. So she's getting ready to go to work. It's another school day. She's probably gonna like take the trolley down or the gondola. So we'll probably take the gondola.
As you take the gondola, that same guy is there on that almost on time every time, and he's just doing his rounds. And he does a loop of the whole city. It's not specifically to the academy, but it is all the way around. And he pulls up, he offers you the same smile and wishes you a nice day, and you can walk up those cobbled steps and walk towards the academy. However, today the doors are closed, and there are people in almost like a uniform stood either side of the doors, and you're used to seeing students flood in at this time, students coming out from the dormitories. This place is dead. There's no one here. You can see a couple of other students, they go up to the doors. You can see these people who are stood by them, have a conversation with them, and the kids turn around and walk away.
Paula will make her way up the stairs and introduce herself to one of the guards. Hello, sir. Hi, I'm Paula. I work here. What's the
yes.
situation?
The academy is closed for today until we get some more information after yesterday's events.
Closing? We never close. This is very unusual.
After last night's events, I believe, and he sort of flicks through some notes. He's just like, you work in the library?
I do.
Yes, due to the events in the library, I'm afraid we will not be opening the academy today.
Listen, that seems like a bad way to go about this. We can't let them scare us. Whoever those people were.
We're investigating. We're I'm sticking to my orders, I'm afraid. And you can see this person. They're in a sort of a semi-smart suit, sort of jacket, almost tunic, like button up. They don't look to be like guards that are protecting or stopping people from going in fully. They look like they're there to inform people why the doors are closed. You can see an embroidered, almost like either a rising or setting sun on one of the pockets, and you can see that on both of them on these suits. And you recognize that as the symbol of the church.
Would you happen to know if the deacon is investigating today?
I am not allowed to disclose any information that is going on inside the academy. You will be contacted when we have further information.
All right, listen up, buddy. That's my library we're talking about. I
understand your grievances, but I'm afraid we are looking for information on all of the things that happened here last night. I'm afraid these are just my orders. And this looks like a pretty young guy, like maybe straight out of the academy. You can tell he's not a magic user, and he's gone straight into probably one of the lower levels of working for the church. As the church it is very much about religion, but they do have the lower levels of people to talk for them, effectively.
I'll pull out my cell phone and pretend to start dialing a number, and I'll be like, oh, well, then I guess I'll just have to call Deacon Marks and let him know that one of his guards is being disrespectful to his good friend. And
please explain how I have been disrespectful to you so I cannot do it again in future. I apologize.
I need to get into that library and do my work.
I'm afraid the library is closed until further information can be gathered. And this guy has got a smile. He looks like he's loving his job. If anything, you could guess is like his first week on the job. He is reading a script that he has been given. Because the other one next to him is just pretty quiet, looks a bit older, and he's just sort of almost rolling his eyes as the guy talks.
I look at the older guy. Hey, this kid won't let me in. I work with Deacon Marks, and I am sure that he would make an exception for me. So if you could just step aside.
Look, the door's locked. I'm not going in, you're not going in. What he said, just less irritating.
Is anyone in there? Like, are there people in there right now investigating?
Well, and he stops here. I'm afraid I cannot disclose any of that information.
Oh my God.
And even the guy is just like,
all right, I've had enough of this.
look, I can't get you in, okay? It's shut down for the day. Come back tomorrow. It might have opened up again.
I'm going to leave, but just know that you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, okay.
Next time the deacon gets a word with you, the deacon, not a deacon, the Deacon Marks. And then Paula will just like turn on her heel and stomp down the stairs.
And behind you, you hear a voice going, "Thank you for your cooperation," as you leave
Yeah.
and head down the stairs. Where are you going? Are you just leaving? Are you outright leaving? What is happening?
Yeah, I'm gonna head to Bruin Bindings and just coffee it out, get that stress out with a nice cup of coffee.
Okay. You can head straight into the shop. That bell rings and you're greeted immediately by Averick, and you see Clyde jump up with his paws on the bar. Effectively got words today. And you just sort of, not working today.
No, the academy closed.
Closed? It never closes.
I know. They claim it's because they're investigating. But
is that something to do with what happened last night?
Probably. I mean, yeah. But they're not giving any information, and I don't feel comfortable with the thought of people snooping around my library and making a mess, and they're probably going through all the books, and I'm sure they're knocking stuff over, and oh gosh.
Well, who's going through it?
I don't know, whoever's investigating. Probably, I think it's the church. They're at least guarding the door.
Yeah.
What was that?
You're not getting in there then.
Yeah, they're a stubborn bunch.
Yeah, tell me about it. Right, coffee, I'm guessing. You got the day off now.
Yeah, the usual. I guess I'll get some reading done.
I'll go get that for you. You take a seat.
And Paula sits down, reaches into one of her bags, opens a book to the dog-eared page, and she reads like the same paragraph 3 times, and she just like can't focus. She's reading the words, but her brain is just in 12 different places right now.
Yeah, and you can see that there's now a bunch of terraniums at the center of the tables, along with a candle that weren't here yesterday.
I'll shout back towards the bar. Hey, Averick.
Yeah?
These are new, right?
Yeah, I thought they really brightened the place up.
Have you seen Nadia around?
Yeah, she was in here yesterday. Just
okay, yeah. Did she make these?
No, she didn't make these ones actually.
Oh,
they were I think they were a gift.
Good to know.
It was a weird situation.
Well, they're nice. I like them. You should keep them around.
Maybe I will. And he sort of walks over and places down this coffee in front of you. And you notice now that, and you can look around, there's like 2 other people in here with a coffee, and you can see now that you recognize Aggie's biscuits on the side of the plates, as there's a lot of them. But he turns around back to the bar. He's like, if you need anything, just let me know.
I actually do need something. I need you to keep an eye on the window. And you let me know if you happen to spot a blue-haired guy walking around. Just like, give me a shout.
Matthias.
And all. Oh, you know him?
Yeah, we were at the night market. I wasn't that drunk.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Totally makes sense.
Why? Have you not seen him lately or something?
Oh, no. I saw him very recently, actually. But I might have been just a little hard on him unnecessarily. He might have put his life on the line for me, stuff like that. So if you happen to see
staring at you like, right, okay,
yeah, so if you happen to see him, I'd like to apologize. So don't apologize for me. I'd like to say it myself. I'm just saying, if you see him walking by or something, just let me know.
I will let him know if I see him.
Yeah. Or you let me know that you see him.
I can do that too.
Either way works, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever floats your goat, Matthias. Matthias. Oh my gosh. Well, you see, I'm just
Matthias on the break.
in another headspace today. Just one of those days, My goat is definitely floating right now. Oh, there we go.
It's just a perfect freeze. We didn't even know. It's so subtle now.
Yeah. I have to, otherwise I freeze in the weirdest positions.
I thought you were like contributing to the awkward silence.
Yeah. I can do it again. And he sort of looks over, he's like, he seems like a nice guy. And you can tell Averick feels very uncomfortable right now, just not really understanding the situation. He doesn't want to ask why it was a life or death situation, but just nods. He sort of strolls away. And yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, and I'll get back to reading, and maybe not make much progress, but at least somewhat distract myself.
Yeah, and you can sit there. We're going to jump over to Tolan. What is Tolan doing this morning?
Well, after leaving last night, Tolan, pretty soon after dinner, kind of made his apologies and did his normal sort of routine of scanning around for all of his belongings, patting his pockets 2 or 3 times, and finally making it out the door. Oh, yes, I'll see you all. Good night, everyone. Aggie, thank you always. And headed home. He got there, and as he just came in the door, just kind of let out a huge sigh. He had been on now for almost 3 days of just interacting with people, with having people around, of trying to be social, making small talk, but also always sort of on his guard, being out in open places, just being wary of being confronted possibly by people. And so got home and went to make some tea, something to calm him down after even just the dinner. His brain was spinning after some of the things Matthias had said, after overhearing Paula talk about Deacon Marks and having him be the little bird who told her who to trust and not trust, and it didn't take much to put 2 and 2 together that where he might fit in that. He looks up at the terrarium that Nadi gave him and just feels that sort of hit of kind of feeling better, and literally pulls out a napkin and throws it over top of it just to not see it. That's not in the mood. Also recognizing it for what it is, the novelty's worn off a little bit. And while it's nice, it's also exhausting. And so he makes a cup of tea and eventually gets himself put together for bed and goes to sleep. Tosses, turns, has the weird dreams where he's not quite sure whether he's asleep or awake. The dreams of his own life, not of things that are obviously dreamlike. Some of reliving the last couple of days where different things happen and not being able to find things, or going to his lab and it starts to blend with what's real and what's in his dream because his brain just can't turn off. And so the next day he wakes up and he wakes up exhausted. Is just kind of done. He kind of knows that he's going to have sort of limited ability to get things, especially social interactions, this day. And so he just sort of settles himself into a day inside. He gets up sort of slow and makes himself some coffee, and he tries to make himself some kind of breakfast and just can't quite get all the pieces put together to get himself fed. Eventually he ends up nibbling on half of a biscuit that was left on a tea saucer from the day before that he hadn't finished. And he starts sort of partitioning out his day to figure out, knowing he's going to want to try to make it to brew and bindings just as something he tries to do every day later in the evening, but knows that he's going to have to be careful with his energy to be able to do that, if he'll be able to do it at all. The one thing that keeps staying on his mind, though, is these dark figures and Paula talking about them in the library. The Marks brothers, and the marks that were left on Noah and on Matthias by Deacon Marks. And he goes over to his coat that's hanging by the front door, reaches down the pocket, and it's the little thing he was fiddling with the night before. Is a capacitor that holds a charge, a sort of electromagical charge in it. And he starts to sort of fiddle with it. And for the first time in a long time, the last decade, he starts putting together a simple little invention. What I'd like to do, if I can, is create almost like a low-powered taser. If I could do like a tinker check or something along those lines, wants to make something for a little bit of protection against these creatures. And I've got my tinker sets put up, actually set up for all three
I was going to say
different skills. So, I mean, I figure to me, this is kind of an intellect. It's going to be to try to put something together to make a, and again, I figure, in the Numenera sense, it's not a high powered weapon or anything like that. It's basically a touch weapon. I figure sort of dagger, like, in that range, small weapon damage type idea.
No, I'd say roll Tinker but intellect.
Okay, Tinker intellect. Can I use I'm not sure I don't think focus is going to fit with this. No, that's really about observation. So yeah, it's probably flat out Tinker.
Okay.
I do want to use I'm going to spend some effort on this just because actually no, he's not. If he fails, he doesn't want to spend the extra energy today because he's partitioning. So since he's sort of having a low mental capacity day, I'm not going to use effort. In fact, he's probably going to be hard pressed to use effort today at all. Kind of for those who are familiar with spoon theory, he's kind of having a low spoon day. So here's my Tinker check. Let's see what happens. Ooh, he does not pull it together. Dice telling the story.
If you sort of fiddle about with it, you literally tinker about with these bits of metal, and it's like your head can't wrap around it. You've got so many thoughts and the dreams that you have had mixed in with the events that have been sort of just going on at the moment in Dunera, where Karnan is supposed to be a very calm city. You've known it since, yes, there's been some few major events, but this is odd. And your mind sort of drifts back to that mark up in the sky. And it's almost like you blink at the wrong time as you suddenly think of it, and something sparks and you feel like static and it shoots out of your hand. And it's not a bad burn or anything, like it won't do damage, but it stings. It's almost like you've been burnt by hot water or something like that.
Right.
You see like a black mark on your finger and it hurts.
Yeah, damn it. And he probably just rubs his face, and as that happens, it's just a reinforcement of he's not the man that he once was. And I think he leaves sort of the junk shop little work table that he has. Unless you've got, I don't know if it's an intrusion, if you've got more to do, he can stay in there, or he would.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Will just set it aside. Probably give it a little bit of a frustrated throw into one of the bins. And I think gets caught a little bit in his own head about the mistakes and failures in his life, and sort of heads in and doesn't even sit in his comfortable chair, sort of sits at the little two-top dining room. So it's not even dining room, it's really kitchen table, and with just sort of his head in his hands. Some tea that's gone cold is there on the table that he just sort of just sits there for a long time.
And it is quite a long time as you sit there. You can hear a whir from that thing that you threw in the bin. Every now and then you think it's almost like it's dying, like when a battery dies. It's sort of, you got a spark from it and you can hear it clanking about until it finally stops. And you sit in silence for a very, very long time until you hear humming or whistling from outside the door. No one stops, but you see a leaflet sort of go. It looks like they're looking for a place for it, and you're like, huh. And then at the very top of your door, where there's like just a tiny bit of a gap, you see this small leaflet being very awkwardly pushed through. And there's sort of there we go. Off they go. And you see through that dappled glass, that blue, as he starts to walk past. He doesn't know this is where you live.
Yeah.
You suspect he's going through
every spot. And he makes a very calculated decision. And against his better judgment, goes to the front door, opens it, and sort of just leans out, doesn't even really venture all the way out in the street, and just goes, "No one lives any deeper into the district down that way, Matthias."
And you just see this face sort of quickly whip back and look at you. He's like, "Oh, I didn't even know you lived here. You live here?" Like, and looks up as he's halfway through pushing a leaflet through a door much further down. But again, it is all shut off. There aren't any lights on. He's like, "You mean there's no one here either?"
No, there's one or two throughout the district, but it's mostly uninhabited. Few shops where people needed low rent, but it's not like you get much traffic back here.
Oh, okay. Well, good morning.
Is it?
I don't know, is it? And he sort of looks at you and slowly walks back. It's not like a rush towards you. He just casually walks over to you. Like, "You okay? Was it the leaflet? I'm sorry. I know people hate leaflets."
No, it wasn't the leaflet. It's...
They're smaller, like Nadie said.
Oh, good for you.
And he sort of awkwardly looks from you not having a good day to the leaflets and just sort of lowers them down. He's like, "I'm going to go probably just drop some more off. So you say there's no one else down here?"
No.
Right, okay. Well, it's the last night of the night market. We're opening up a bit earlier.
I won't be there.
Yeah, I didn't think you would, but I thought I'd say anyway. But I mean, we're getting a lot of new stalls. We've had a lot of last minute people come over for the big, send off of the night market. They're traveling from over the sea.
How do you do this?
What do you mean, how do I do this?
This.
With my face?
This.
I'm kind of born with it.
Just...
What? How do I do what?
Being who you are.
I'm kind of born that way. I didn't have much of a choice.
Well.
Do you mean the hair?
Sure.
Well,
Tell me
it's a
about
really
your
neat
hair.
thing, actually. There's a woman that does it for me. I kind of got the knack, but when I was smaller, couldn't get the right color. Very odd shade of green.
Were your parents magic users?
I believe my father was. Mother is not. But she doesn't mind us.
Anyway. You won't pass out any more leaflets down there.
No, apparently not. And Sophia sort of pops up and looks at you. And he just thinks, okay, he's not having a good day. But I know you probably won't be at the night market, but this doesn't change. And I don't know how I do it.
Well,
but if I find
last
out...
night it was a little different.
Why, what happened? How is the boy?
He seems to be fine.
Oh, good. Good, I was worried. He's a tiny little scrap of a thing.
Yeah.
And like Matthias almost rocking awkwardly back and forth on his toes and his heels, like,
Yeah. Tolan is doing nothing to make this
Yeah,
less
I was going
awkward.
to say, like, Matthias is like that in between where he's like, he kind of knows you want him to go, but he's like, maybe I'll see you after the night. I mean, we've got some stuff, like, people have come in from over the sea from Valadris. They've bought trinkets and things they find, and, you know, it's great. It's one of those, like, last minute things. We didn't know they were coming, so they were caught in a storm or something.
Someone's here from Valadris.
Yes. Just from over the seas, you know.
I'm familiar.
Okay. I mean, there's not a lot there. It's just going to be little stores and trinkets, you know. People who go out and find bits and bobs on their travels, maybe play around with them a bit. You might like it. I can see. And he's sort of looking not round your door, but he's like, you look like you've got a bit of a workshop. You might like that sort of thing. No? Okay. Well, I tell you what, I will
Has
see you later.
anyone...
What?
You say they came in unexpectedly. Did they go through any sort of protocol, or with everything at the academy, did they just go straight and set up the stalls?
From Valadris, they're running late. They normally arrive like, well, hopefully the first day. But as I said, there was, you know, the ocean doesn't exactly let you choose when you arrive. So, yeah, they've just come for the final evening. I don't know. I just know they're there. Look, it says on the leaflet.
He snatches the leaflet.
I already gave. Okay.
Anything of note that Tolan might recognize on there?
You can just see the standard of what you saw there on the first night.
Right, but I mean, anything about these new...
Yeah, there's some bits that look like they've been added at the bottom by hand, fairly last minute, about a couple of stools from Valadris, from the people that have come from overseas, from one of the lands beyond, which very few people travel to, just because they don't need to. But it says things like artifacts, trinkets, homemade like delights, and things like that, and that have been.
It says
found.
artifacts.
It says artifacts.
Tolan literally looks at it and just like, son of a bitch.
Well, I don't think they're that bad.
Oh, no one thinks they're that bad. Oh, look what I found. It's a lovely little thing. Great.
Well, they are. They're quite cute. You should see what they can do with
Go
the
away.
rocks. But... Okay, wow. Okay. And he looks really, like, flushes red. And he's like, okay, come on, Sophia, time to go. And sort of awkwardly starts walking away. And he starts whistling again.
Yeah. Tolan closes the door a little too heavily and then just leans back against it. Really? Kind of looks to the sky today. Fine. And he starts bracing himself for what's going to be this evening. Another evening out. And he just kind of, I think he all but slides down the door and just sits squatted with his back against the door, arms around his knees, just trying to talk himself into that he has to go do this.
And that's when we will hop over to Charlie. Charlie, whereabouts are you this morning?
I think after hearing that Nidhi was just going to go home alone, I guess, she definitely offered to go back with her and potentially stay the night. She was invited, so yeah, but probably had to leave a little earlier because she is working today, so to make it back across town in time for the shop to open. It's not like an early shop, it's like starting at 10 in the morning kind of deal, but it's still a bit of a trek. But at this point, I think she's settled into her routine of making sure everything is in its place, and like there's room for people to walk amidst all of the overgrown potted bits and shelves and things like that. Just like watering everything, making sure how like nothing's been eating away at any of these baby leaves, anything like that. And is expecting just a very straightforward kind of day.
Yeah, you can see that Armin's fixed your window. In fact, there's a bigger lock on it now. It seems that he has put like what I mean is like by an ugly, heavy-duty lock. He seems to be a little paranoid after watching you jump out of the window and run across the roofs, and he seems to have fixed it. And you can spend the morning sort of tending to the plants, and you can see him laying them out and dealing with some of the customers. And after lunch, he comes round and he just hands you one of the sandwiches that he's made. He's like, "Have you seen this?" And it's one of the leaflets from Matthias. He's like, "We gotta go." Well, I gotta go. I'm gonna go there later because apparently there's someone coming in from Valaris. You should see the plants they bring in. Like,
really?
if I could get some of those for my shop and just, I could grow them here, maybe. I'm thinking about building a greenhouse out the back, but I could start introducing those to the shop. So,
yeah.
You know, I think that could be quite cool.
Is it that different there? Like, is it more humid? Do we have to do anything special?
Humid, and to be honest, it's kind of like these, and he sort of reaches over just to the brick wall where all these vines have come over. He's like, they tend to they're like strangle vines. They just, not in a bad way, they just wrap up those sorts of plants, and they, you know, don't quite get the chance. It's like they fight for the sunlight, fight for the nutrients, you know, so you have to keep them really separate. But they're slightly weaker, but they're really pretty. They're really pretty. And you can see this snake as Sam rears all the way up, almost to the same height as Armand, and just rests its head on his shoulder as he's talking to you. And you're used to this. You see this all the time as he's in his apron, which is covered in like soil and dirt, which he's just rubbed off, and he's eating the sandwich in this other hand. He's like, "I might go later. I mean, you can come if you want, but it's up to you."
Oh yeah, I went the other night and it was really colorful. There's a lot of good food.
Yeah, right? It's so
yeah.
crazy how good some of the stuff is. Like, I mean, you know, don't tell anyone. I mean, my sandwiches don't really live up to it, but you know, it's pretty good. And it's the last night, so I might just close the shop early and go. You're welcome to stay, but otherwise come with, or maybe I'll see you there.
Okay.
There's a lot of good things in there. They always bring in some really weird and wonderful, is what my mum used to call it, the people from Valadris. Weird and wonderful, but there you go. They get some plants that grow straight out of rock.
Huh.
Just depends on the rock. It's crazy. I don't get it. I've not been to Valadris. The journey's too long, but you know.
Would I, like, at school have learned like how far away basic geography wise?
So if it was by ship, you would be sailing for maybe 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
To get just to the edge of this land. It's a known land, but again, people don't tend to have to leave or go anywhere, so it's such a long journey. Sometimes people just don't come back.
It's easier to stay put after. Huh. Oh, cool. I definitely munch on this sandwich and think about plants growing out of rocks, and just like spitting through like how does this happen through a crack in rock, through like from the lichen, from the it's just lost in thought for a bit.
And you can sit there, and Armin sits with you, and so does Sam, as he sort of curls around both your feet. And not a lot of people come in today. Again, you know this is not going to be a busy day because it's the last night of the night market, but you get the odd person sort of pop in. You see Aggie poke her head around the door. She doesn't say anything, but it's almost like she's just checking that you are there, sort of gives you a little bit of a wave and keeps going. And you can see her trailing Noah behind her. She seems to be taking him somewhere.
Oh.
And Armand sort of looks over at you as he's sort of licking his fingers after this sandwich. You can see this mustard has sort of rolled down his fingers. And he's like, what was that thing about you jumping out the window the other day, chasing whatever that was? That and I points at Aggie. She said you were on a roof.
Yeah. Okay, so there was a kid in my closet who just kind of jumped out and ran out of it, and I don't know. Look, I got up there and everything had moved just like a little bit. Nothing's gone. That's what I don't get. Is like. I'm assuming she looked like small and kind of feminine. I didn't see her face, but
what you chase?
Yeah,
that was a kid that jumped out of the window.
Yeah,
they broke 3 of my pots.
So like I was trying to figure out why, and I mean it's gonna go fast. So
did you catch?
Kind of. Like we got to a point where there was nowhere really else to go except to jump off of the roof, which then she did, after just kind of waving at me, and I'm like, okay, but no, she's fine. I actually saw her last night, walking away down the road, with like.
Did you talk to her? What did she want?
I had my arms full of Aggie's groceries, so I couldn't really do anything about it at the time, but. No, on when we were up on the roofs, it
right.
I tried, and she was just like, haha, bye, and jumped off the roof. So, yeah.
You know, kids don't normally do that.
No, I know.
Right. And he sort of looks down, pulls out another sandwich from this small little box that he's got beside you. Fair enough. And he hands you another one.
Thanks for fixing the window.
It's fine. I'm sorry it was so easy to get in. You know, you think a place is safe.
Look, if someone wants to get in to just about anywhere, they're gonna get in. I just want to lie. Like, I don't have anything to take.
They didn't take anything?
I don't think it's hell.
Huh. Weird. And he sort of takes him another massive bite out of the sandwich. He's like, well, I'm going to keep the shop open for probably another couple of hours. After that, you're free to do what you want. Whether it's go and chill in your newly secured room or head out, but you know.
Yeah, let's see.
But you're all right because you took a fall. Like you didn't hurt yourself or anything, did you? He sort of looks at you suspiciously, just more to see if you're hiding something, so that if you have hurt yourself and you're just not saying.
Nah, I mean I fell over in the room, but. Not off a roof or anything. I just like I have a bit of a cushion when it comes to magic. I guess I can just.
Yeah. Oh, and you can see Al has actually wrapped himself around your necklace. And he's sort of pulling it, not towards it, but almost like using it as like a little hook to hold on to get, like he doesn't want to leave you, but he wants to get closer to Sam. And you can see Sam sort of leaning in, sort of sliding across Armand's shoulders and looking at Al. And he's like, I've never seen you wear that before. Do you always wear that?
Oh, well, yeah. It's usually not like out. And it's a little, like thundercloud, and it's very cartoonish, the little charm on it, and it's very simple, like simple kind of silver chain, and just this little like maybe even handmade little charm, like roughly welded together sort of deal. But yeah, no, my brother gave it to me.
Oh, Miles gave it to you.
Yeah.
Did he make it?
I don't know.
Huh. Well, it's nice. It's nice.
Thanks.
Oh, Miles picked it. Wow.
I know, right? No, it was a bit of a joke. He likes to call me a little storm cloud.
That sounds like Miles. You heard from Miles yet? Right. I'll go check over his flat later this evening. Just fresh pair of eyes.
Can you come with?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll do it on the way back from the night market or something. When there's less people around. And as much as there's basically no one on the street right now, you know he's referring to the later night market.
Yeah.
We'll pop by later. Just look.
Yeah.
And then we're going to hop over to Nadie. What are you doing this morning? How would you have... Did you leave Aggie's? Or did you end up staying?
No, would have gone back home and Charlie in tow, and she would have burst into her father's room and just kind of quickly pick up a couple things because Papa's not the cleanest man, sorry, and quick change of room of the sheets and everything. It's very comfortable bed. He's broken it in beautifully, trust me. Or if you want, you can sleep up in my room instead, and I can sleep down here. I don't mind, whichever you prefer. And kind of just, and it was more like Nadie just being Nadie and speaking constantly rather than taking it all in. So she's changing the sheet. She's basically explaining where's the bathroom and there's a kitchen and just gotten them both settled for the evening, and probably would have heard Charlie getting up and have gone downstairs to kind of, I'll see you later. You're going to do the night market. I see you there. Probably, hopefully.
Probably. It's the last night. Should be extra. I don't really have a word to describe all that is, but
intriguing might be good.
That works.
Well, all right, you take care. Be safe, and I'll see you there.
Thanks for letting me stay.
Oh, of course. Anytime you want, especially when Papa's gone, because, it's quiet and, it's just me, so company's nice.
How long's it been?
Since
he left last.
He left about a month ago. He can be gone from a month to maybe 4 months sometimes, just depending on where he's going.
Kind of sad to be alone all the time.
Well, I have Zia Prim. She stops by, sees how I'm doing. And now I have you and Paul and Mr. Tolan, sir.
Laughing, trying to imagine Tolan going to pay a social visit to Nadie.
Well, I have to go to him most likely. Granted, go check him out at his shop. I don't think he'd make his way all the way down here.
Well, maybe one day.
Maybe. Let's just say I'm not going to hold my breath for it, though.
I wouldn't.
No, not in my best interest. All right.
Yeah, you have a good one. Yeah.
You too.
Make my way out and admire kind of the curtain as I go.
Nadia would be peeking from behind the curtain door, after the door is closed, and just kind of waving chronically until literally she can't see you anymore. Because that's just her way of doing things. And then Prim would probably be sitting on her shoulder, kind of nodding his head. Yeah, I like her too. She's very nice. She's a good lady. All right, couple things to get done now. And then Nadia's going to go into her whirlwind self in her own home, and she's going to go into the kitchen, and she's pulling paper out, and she's pulling pens out, and she's sitting at the table and she's got her hair down in these two big braids that are pushed over her shoulder, and she's leaning over and she's just writing something furiously, and she kind of holds it up and Prema looks over her shoulder and kind of nods his head, kind of like, all right. And then she sits it back down on the table and she keeps writing some more, and then she holds it up one more time. She goes, all right, think this will work for, for the greenhouse? And she's written, do not disturb, serious work, emergencies only. Taking very much to heart what Mr. Tolensor has told her about when she's making her terrariums. So she'll go over and she'll just kind of tack it up onto her little greenhouse door, which is sort of catty corner to her father's room entrance. And then she'll probably go back up into her room and start going through her clothes, because she's realizing she's probably supposed to be at the cabaret tonight. And, there's the issue with the feathers, because everyone wants to know how many feathers.
And as you're going through all of this, you hear a knock at the door, on that wooden door. You recognize that knock anywhere. It's that firm knock that Prim does that you need to answer, probably quite rapidly.
So Nadia would go tearing down the stairs, probably like audibly, like Prim's going to hear it from the other side of the door, and she'll quickly open the door. Good morning!
Good morning. And she sort of just walks straight in, gives you like a kiss on the forehead, walks past and puts down like this fresh bread on the table, and turns around and leans on it. It's like, who was that?
Oh, that's my friend Charlie. She's very nice.
Nice. Okay. Good to know. And she sort of turns back as if like you've answered the question, it's fine. And she starts to cut up this bread, and she has this small basket with her where she pulls out just jam and butter and just starts, and this bread is hot, you can see it steaming, and she cuts into it. She's like, eat.
Oh, yes, of course. You want me to get dishes, or we just, sit right here off table?
Off the table, your father isn't here, it's fine.
Okay. But no, she's wonderful. She works at the flower shop, so that's how I met her.
Oh, another flower person.
Yes.
Right up the street then.
Oh, you made this morning, right? Yeah?
Yes, just taking it out of the oven.
Oh, it's perfect. So yeah, no, she's very sweet. She came here last night, so your buddy system.
Buddy system, I like it. I did hear something went...
Yeah, things got a little wonky over at the academy.
Yes, it did. It's all closed down today.
It's completely closed? It's still closed?
Completely closed. I walked past it earlier, trying to find that cabaret of yours, but it's all completely closed.
Well, I guess Pula has the day off then.
Is that one of your other friends? I believe I remember that name.
Yeah, she's the one who helped me get the job at the cabaret. And speaking of the cabaret, can you help me with costume? Maybe?
Yes, I can help you with your costume, but what it depends. What kind of costume do you want?
I want to work that beautiful scarf that I got the other night, because it looks so pretty and fluid like water. I thought it'd be a good way to incorporate into an outfit for dancing.
Do you want to incorporate flowers as well?
Could we? That'd be fun.
Of course you could. Look, they're everywhere. She literally gestures out the window to the garden. And it's like, why not? Make it as you as possible.
Okay.
No feathers.
No feathers, because everyone keeps asking how many damn feathers are on the costume. I don't know.
Yes, don't answer that question.
I tell them very many.
Good girl.
So, okay, so we do the water with the scarf in the flowers. Maybe like water lilies type thing.
We can do that. I don't know. I've never worked with flowers in that sense before, but I imagine it's almost like, what is it they call them? Daisy chains, just a really big one.
Oh yeah, but make sure it's
Yes.
Looks good, not. What is it? Classy, not trashy, right?
We are never trashy. She sort of leans over the table and looks at you. It's not sternly. It's almost just like, no.
But I was right. Classy.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very classy.
All right, good. So, we could always take. I have I have some fabric left over from the quilting stuff. Maybe we can make, instead of like actual water lilies, I can make it look like water lilies.
If you want.
That way I don't have to keep remaking the costume.
This would probably help. Do you have to wear it more than once then?
Yeah, probably, considering you're supposed to have routine, and I think I'm working there a couple nights a week. He wasn't exactly very, this is exact schedule when you need to come, but I guess I was supposed to work last night, but the academy thing happened, and then it was like a no-go. So, yeah. We ended up having dinner at this lovely lady, her name's Aggie. And
I think I've heard that name.
yeah, she has bookshop, but it's not normal bookshop like, oh, here's romance, here's fiction, here's history. It's, just grab books, see what you find.
My kind of bookshop.
It's actually quite sweet, and she has 2 cats. They're very cute.
Cats. And you see a sort of thing, and she doesn't have any pets or anything like that, just probably because Prim doesn't have the time. So you've been to her house?
Yes, she made us dinner. It was very nice.
I'm sure it was. And she sounds lovely.
You might like her.
I might?
Yeah, it just depends on, similarities of interest. It starts with the books.
You mean that we're old? Is that what you're referring to?
You're not old.
Oh, I am.
You're not that old.
Okay, I'm not that old, but I am old.
She doesn't strike me as that old either. I mean, not like you both need canes and walk around and can't hear and say, hey, what you saying? Oh, speaking of hearing, look. And she's going to zip up and run over to the countertop where she's dropped the musical earbud things. Look, I was speaking with Mr. Tollenser, and he had very good idea to help me with the, reading into things too much of other...
Yes.
If
Wait. Who is this Tollen?
He is a very knowledgeable gentleman who is he's also friend to Aggie, and he knows Charlie, and he also is at the Bruin Bindings. That's actually where I bumped into him yesterday. I went to go get some tea.
And he just gave you these?
No, we had nice long conversation about interesting things. I learned some new things yesterday. Important things, actually.
Okay. And she you could tell she's just taking in everything you're saying very slowly. So, okay. I would love to meet them at some point.
Well, then you have to come with me to Bruin Bindings. It's probably your best bet. You'd like Averick, too. He's very sweet gentleman.
I know Averick.
You do know Averick?
Bindings. I do.
Okay, so maybe
I
we
don't
go there.
sit at home and knit.
I know that. You're not that type. You've never been that type.
Smiles at you. Well, I was still promised a night at the night market. I want to get one of those things tea we had, one of the ones you were given.
Yes,
on my windowsill.
Yes, definitely. I was hoping to go last night, but that was definitely not going to be a thing. So I was hoping to go tonight. Do you want to meet me there?
Yes, I'll meet you there. Maybe I'll meet this Aggie and Tollen and Charlie and Paula.
Paula, yes. She's a smart lady. Very thorough. Likes to keep her lists.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. And then, these things. So, speaking with Mr. Tollenser, he brought up the fact that, when I listen to music, I kind of go into like space out mode.
Yes.
Yes. Well, turns out that if I use these things and I pop them in, I don't have to be so, me all the time. And it actually kind of helps keep other things from jumping in on me.
And she sort of raises an eyebrow and looks at you and says, maybe Mr. Tollenser has a good idea then.
Yeah.
And you're asking permission when to jump in?
Yes, I have not done any jumping whatsoever. In fact, I didn't even do it when I was thinking maybe I should, but then I realized, with the magic down, bad idea.
Yes, bad idea. Okay, well, I'm going to go and find out what's going on in town because I'm nosy. And she stands up and starts walking towards the door. It's like, I will see you at the night market.
Did you want to come to the cabaret maybe first and then markets?
I have spoken to your new boss. I probably won't be in there this evening, but I will meet you afterwards.
Okay, Zia.
And she just sort of gives you another kiss on the forehead, sort of a very quick but very tight hug, and heads out. And you can see her walking away from it towards town, effectively.
Wait till she hears about the terrariums. And then I'll just turn on my heel and walk back into the kitchen and like writing down a couple more notes, basically sort of trying to get down the big points that she had conversation wise with Tolan and having it all sort of logged into her journal and everything that she keeps. And she'll get to work on the costume and kind of just fine tuning it and almost using the previous costume that Paula lent her as a guide for style, but making it her own. And she may even just sort of like go over to like a little measurement of the previous one. Okay, it's 1 feather, 2 feather, 3. Okay, so about 10. Okay. Yeah, that's a better idea. Okay. If they ever ask again, now I kind of know. And she'll probably spend the rest of the morning getting this pulled together and then sort of try it on, make sure it works. And she'll have the earbuds in too while she's working. And when she feels like everything's sort of in order, she'll tuck everything away and she'll start making her way over back to brew and bindings just to sort of follow up and see how things are going.
Yeah, and you can reach brew and bindings and you can see through the window, you can see Paula sat down, engrossed in this book, and Averick just seems to be serving a few more of the customers.
So I'll go in and I'll just, I'm actually going to let Paula keep reading. Because, you know, after last night, kind of getting the sense it's probably best to let everyone sort of have their bit of quiet. So I'll go up to the counter and order something from Averick.
Yeah. Averick looks at you, he's just like, tea, usual, coffee?
Never coffee, definitely tea. And that breakfast tea was very good yesterday.
And there we go. Go take a seat. Go get comfy. I'll bring it over.
Okay. Oh, wait, by the way, how long has Paula been here? Long time or not so much?
And he reaches in and pulls out this small, it's like a pocket watch that has all of these extra buttons. You're not too sure what they do, but they all have little words and gadgets sort of attached to this very simple pocket watch. And he's just like, I'd say a few hours now. I've topped up her coffee a couple of times, but I don't think she's noticed.
Oh, okay then. That's good to know. Thank you very much, Averick.
No worries. And he sort of, you hear that hiss of the kettle as he turns around and starts making up the tea. And sorry, go on.
So I'd go over while he's doing that. I'd go over and sort of sit at the table. Like I try and position myself so it was sort of like if Paula were to look up, just so happens to like, hi, but I won't purposely try and like get her attention or disturb her. Just sort of give her space.
You can hear Paula, like, as she's reading, she's kind of mumbling to herself and she's like, forgive her. All she wants is your forgiveness. And like, she's like clearly like wrapped up in this story, and whoever this character is, she really wants this character to forgive someone.
And you hear Averick sort of make a sound as if he's trying to get your attention, but really quickly before you hear the bell open of Brew and Bindings. And Matthias walks in with these leaflets and goes and slams them down on sort of like the on the counter, and he's like, it's the last night. And he doesn't even look, he doesn't see any of you. He's gone straight towards Averick. It's like, don't forget, hand out with every single coffee. We've got those from Velatris coming. And Averick's like looking at him, trying to pour like 2 coffees at once. And he's like shifting his eyes over to Paula. No, it's like he's frozen now. He doesn't know what to do because he's in the coffee shop. And he spots Nadie first because Paula is buried in this book. And he's like, oh, Nadine, look, I took your advice on the leaflets.
Oh, that's excellent. Much easier to carry around, right?
Yes, much easier. I mean, ignore the handwriting on the bottom, but that's mine. I hope you can read it. The Valatrians are coming over from Valatris.
Wait, was that supposed to be happening?
It was, but they didn't turn up, and now they have.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, hey, nice that they come for the last night.
Well, they're bringing over lots of trinkets and flowers, all the different bits and bobs over from there that you can't normally get over here. So it's quite good actually, but you still get a free like drink and food. And he's like leaning over, like pointing at all this like fine print. You can still get a free drink and food.
Oh, that's even better.
So, and as she's doing that, he notices Paula and he's like, can you give one to Paula for me?
Yeah, sure, of course, no problem.
Okay. Thank you. And he goes to turn to walk back out again.
And probably as he's walking out, he can hear Paula cry, why can't he just forgive her?
And he's sort of like, it's a weird, you see, if you look at him from behind, or Nadine would probably see this, his shoulders shrug up, almost like it makes him jump, because you actually say it quite loudly. And there is a slight smile on his face, but it's not necessarily fully happy. But you hear the bell go as he opens the door to leave.
Eventually Paula will probably like reach for her coffee and notice that there's some like belongings on the table that aren't hers, and she'll look up slowly. Oh,
Hello.
hi Nadi. I was definitely not expecting to see you here today.
Well, you look so engrossed in your book. I didn't want to bother you. And I was just here having my cup of tea. And I got my costume pulled together.
Oh, that's great. You didn't hear anything.
You were enjoying your book a lot.
Yeah, it was it's a really good book. You know, I recommend it. She closes it and you see it's like definitely like some like sappy romance novel, and there's like a couple in an embrace on the cover, sliding that away. And like actually like the woman on the cover is crying or something, and like and you can see there's actually tear stains down Paula's cheeks.
You know, it's funny, I never got into romance novels.
I'm normally not a fan, if I'm being honest. Recently they've resonated with me a little bit more. I don't know why, but you know, just who knows. So you got a new costume. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have right here if you want to see it.
Does it have feathers?
No feathers. But I used that pretty scarf I got from the first night at the night market.
Oh, let me see.
Okay. Look. So see, I took the scarf and I kind of took water lily concept. So it's sort of like, you know, water flowers kind of combination.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it, Nandi.
By the way, how often am I supposed to be at the cabaret? Because I wasn't sure, honestly.
You actually are gonna have to probably talk to Niles about that. I go there almost. Opens her little notebook, flips the page over to the calendar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 days a week. So I'm there pretty often, but I don't think Niall expects that of most of his employees. I just, you know, I like to keep myself busy. So
you really do. I mean, do you have like, you know, make sure breathe in there? Or, you know, moment for fun?
That's not. Well, that's I love my jobs.
Well, it's good you love your jobs.
Yeah, I have fun all the time.
Speaking of other job, is everything okay with the academy? I heard it's closed today.
Don't even get me started, Nadine. I am so pissed. They didn't let me in, and apparently there's people snooping around, going through my library, probably making a mess. And I'm not having it.
Wait, what people? Not the Jodel scary people, right?
I don't think so. Maybe? Probably not. I think it's the church.
Oh, okay.
Which are, kind of like, there's a fine line, but there's a church. I was gonna call the Deacon Marks, and
the Deacon Marks?
Yeah, the Deacon Marks. And
okay.
I was gonna call him and see if he knows what's going on, but then I figured he's probably busy. He's probably just trying to figure out what happened last night. So I decided against it. But I've been looking for Matthias like all day, and
you literally just missed him. Like him. She's gonna just hand over one of the pamphlets. Like he came to the table and you were there.
Yeah, you can hear coffee overflowing as like Averick sort of looks to you. He's like,
yeah.
Are you serious?
Yes, you were.
No one told me he was right here, and
well, you were very much engrossed in romance, and far be it for me to step in and say, "Hey, back to reality, cheeky lady."
I mean, he heard you.
Yeah.
No. And I'm gonna send Matthias a text. Hey, heard you stopped by Bruin Bindings, missed you. Would like to say hello? Question mark?
No, say hope I see you later.
And then I said, actually, I meant to say, I hope I see you later.
At the night market.
At show at the cabaret tonight.
Oh, that's better, yes.
And then the night market. Lots to look forward to. Can't wait. This should be fun.
I mean, you could
last night was exciting.
No, maybe not mention last night. Last night may not be,
nice weather we're having.
No, that's boring. Let the anticipation build. I look forward to tonight, and hopefully I see you too.
See you around, probably, as long as circumstances align.
You have a very fun.
There's some people snooping around my library. Like she's like real, like she just keeps going, and like this continues. Like,
you want me to maybe help you edit?
Okay, yeah, you do it, Nidhi.
Okay. Do I have free reign?
Yeah, I trust you.
Okay, so
wait, let me just make sure. And she flips. Nadi, Angel.
What?
Yes, I can go for it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so no offense to you, very lots of information, but he might, over the head after a certain point. So, condense is a good thing. So, okay. Sorry I missed you. Very much looking forward to tonight. Maybe you can stop by the cabaret and we can hit night market afterwards. Would be lots of fun. Have a great day. I mean, I could make this motion do XOXOXO. Want me to put that in?
No, don't put that in. Definitely don't put that in.
No exos. How about just like, little heart?
We didn't
no heart
off on the best note, I wanted to keep things a little neutral.
Okay, so no hearts, we'll just do smiley face.
Are you sure you don't want to mention the weather? I find that that's a very neutral conversation topic that a lot of people don't resist engaging in.
It's also quite effective for friend zoning.
All right, fine. You
so good at this.
Yes, smiley face.
What? Nadine, never grew up in a social sort of community, however, master at matchmaking.
Well, she does hang out with a lot of sailors, so
Okay, hit send it.
I already did. Here you go.
Oh my god, you already hit send. Oh my god. Oh
What
my
you
god.
said I had free reign. That usually means go ahead, do what you want to do.
Oh my god. Okay.
Breathe. It's a good thing.
Do you think you saw it yet?
I mean, I hit the send button, so I'm assuming yes. Oh, well, maybe not, but I know you can't pull those back, right? They're not deletable.
No, not on my phone.
Then you see what fate brings.
As you are sitting there, probably Paula waiting by the phone almost, two people walk in, a man and a woman, and they are in the same uniform, Paula, that you saw up by the academy. And they're in, it's almost like the suits are almost like a brown, sort of very, very simple, dull colored suit, but with that very vivid, bright, rising sun embroidered on the pocket, showing being part of the church. They walk in, they seem to talk to Averick briefly. They sort of look around. They sort of give you a nod, all of you a nod, everyone who sat in there. There's nothing aggressive about it. It's just very standard. And they walk back out again. And as they do, you can see them join another two who just follow them back through the city. And your phone rings, not rings, a text sort of alert comes up. And it just says, "You actually want to?" ?
What should I say? Nadi, I don't know. What should I say? You take it.
Yes. Send.
Oh my gosh, you're so bad. You're so bad. But you're so
What?
good
I
at-
answered question.
No, you're oh my god, you're so good at this.
And you get
Okay.
another message back almost straight away. "I thought you didn't trust me."
I think I got this one. Nadi.
Okay.
I'd prefer to have this conversation in person. Sad face. Send.
And you just get back. Okay.
Okay, I think that went well. He said okay.
Okay, I mean, lines of communication now open. Nothing wrong with that, right?
We nailed it. Pound it.
Well, like the table, hit the table.
No, my fist.
Then what? I'm not going to punch you.
No, you.
Like this, poof.
Yeah, poof.
Okay, so pound it, right?
No, with me.
We do together like same time?
Oh my gosh, Nadi.
I know, I'm teasing you. I'm not that stupid.
Okay. All right, pound it.
Found it. All right. The rest is up to you.
The rest is up to me.
But do you
Okay.
trust him?
I think so. I had some time to think about it, and he seemed like he was in peril when he was getting chased by the shadow demons, and if he was running away in fear, then I'd assume that he's not the villain behind it.
I think that's probably a safe assumption.
So then he's probably fine. It was probably just a coincidence that he was there at those weird times.
Or, maybe it's a fellow who's interested in a lady and she starts tapping the romance novel. Because, there's no reason for fellow to go to place where he knows the pretty lady might be.
Listen, I asked him to come. He was helping me with research, actually. Okay? It was not anything like that.
Well, I mean, that's good, though, that he was responsive and he listened to what you had to say.
That is true.
I mean, not for
I'll have
nothing.
to
There's
think
not
about
many...
it.
No, fine. Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know if I'm like, I don't know what I think of him really. It's not like that. I don't know. But
Oh yeah, all right. Yes, you're right. Take it slow.
yeah, I just want to take it slow, you know. And I have other options, so.
You have options, yes.
Yeah. But for now, I think you and I should get moving to the cabaret so we can start getting ready and not rush like we did last time, because that was not fun.
Okay, that
Well, it
that
was
would be
fun,
good. Well,
but-
it was fun, but it would be nice to see more of cabaret than just zip to the stage, zip to the back room, zip back to stage and dance.
Yeah. And before we leave, Averick, I just wanna. Did they say anything? The church people, did they say anything about the university while they were here?
What, the ones who just came in?
Yeah.
They're just doing rounds, just asking if anyone's seen anyone.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm surprised that the deacon hasn't reached out to me before he wanted me to speak to the seekers. And then all of this happened. And he still hasn't called me or anything.
Well, not yet, but and he sort of looks out the window. He's like, "There's loads of them out there. It's like they're patrolling."
Well, maybe we can deal with them later in that case, because I'm really looking forward to going to the cabaret, and Matthias is going to be there, and I don't want to keep Matthias waiting. So, seekers can wait another day.
And again, Averick looks at you half blankly, half like, okay, because this whole conversation he doesn't really understand. He's like, maybe I'll see you at the night market.
Definitely.
Okay. I'll see you there.
Peace out, Averick.
And we're going to hop back over to Tolan. What is Tolan doing as it's not late in the evening. It's slowly getting that little bit darker, but that's it.
Tolan sat there on the floor by the door for a while and just mentally going through I knew I shouldn't have even said hello. I should have sat at the table. But now I know it's probably nothing. I don't need to go and check to see if the folks coming in from Volandris have brought anything. But what if they have? Will other people even know what to look for? I have to do this. No, I don't. Someone else can do it. Let the deacon deal with this. Let him do something for once and not. Well, if the deacon then actually gets a hold of something. And he just goes around and around like this in his head for probably an hour or two. I mean, probably for the most of the early afternoon. He finally sort of gets himself up and realizes he needs to go. So it takes him 2 or 3 times longer than it should to just get himself showered. He tries to do something to put his hair in just going out. He recognizes again as he looks in the mirror that, it's now been probably 4 weeks since he needed a haircut. And his sort of silvery, salt and pepper hair, it's sort of got a thick texture to it. So it sticks out at odd angles, even when he tries to do something where he tries to sort of push it back, but it's too long. And so it sort of sticks back up, and then he tries to push it forward and it doesn't quite want to do that either. And he just sort of gives up on it. I'll wear my hat. And then ends up putting on clothes that probably shouldn't be worn another time, but does it anyway. Sort of his wrinkled old corduroy pants, and goes to put on the shirt that he's worn the last couple times out, but it's too far gone. So he throws in the corner and actually probably puts on a nicer shirt than is warranted for the occasion, but it's kind of what his hand lands on first, and it's got buttons all the way down the front, and he looks in the mirror and is not quite happy with it, so he kind of undoes the top button so it doesn't look so formal, and then that doesn't look right, so he buttons it back up, and he's just having a real trial of getting himself pulled together, but finally does. He takes a last look over at that capacitor sitting in the bin, and even though he knows it doesn't work or might not work, he puts it in his pocket just for something. And at that point, I think he sits by the door and he waits. And he just kind of sits there, waiting for the motivation to come to head out. A little bit sort of recharging his batteries, but knows that if he makes it back into the kitchen or into the small sort of area of his shop where his bed is, that he might not make it at all. So he sort of forces himself to sit by the front door, shoes on, coat on, but just sits there, kind of watching as the light fades, kind of waiting to the last minute to go, dreading it, but knowing he has to. And that's how his sort of late afternoon passes itself until the first sort of glimmers, the little bit of weak magical light that is in this part of the city where his house is. He kind of waits. It's almost like waiting for the streetlights to turn on before heading out. He's kind of doing that.
And after a while, sort of, it's almost like, again, dappled light coming through the window, but you know it's coming from the waterway that's lighting up, because there don't seem to be any real flowers or berries or buds lighting up around here, as there just aren't any. And the only light you're getting is from the waterways themselves. It's quite bright when you're outside, but when it's coming through the window, it's quite a dull light and sort of bathes you in it as you sit on this floor.
I almost see it sort of like as sort of like a, you know, like a blue ripple, almost like when you see in old movies where like there's the neon sign, but that it's half dead and just barely sparking. So I think it's kind of that mood. And as he finally sees that, I think when he first sees it, he's taken back to almost a decade ago, when this part of town was a bustling, vibrant part of the city. You know, the old Gardenia district, one of the old parts that had some of the oldest shops and food establishments and cafes. It was sort of this romantic, wonderful part of the city. And he has to kind of shake himself out of that. I can't live there anymore. And he stands up, pats his pockets, checks for his keys, and puts his hat on his head and heads out and reluctantly goes towards the night market.
As you walk away from your home, you can see the closer, the further away you get from your home, the more flowers start to spring up, the more vines. It starts off as vines first, almost spider webbing along the walls, and there are one or two flowers that are popping up just outside your front door. but they're grey and white and black, and they're sort of slightly twisted. They're not really flowering properly. They almost crumple up, and in the space of a minute you see them bloom and crumple again very, very quickly, curling back up. But as it branches away from your front door and further in towards the main part of the city and the night market, you see the greens start to pick up, and towards the end of the street you can see two people walking towards you. Smart suits, brown suits, the rising sun that you recognize as part of the church. And they sort of look at you, they nod. One of them takes a second look, but keeps going.
Yeah,
And as
Tolan braces
I
himself.
was going to say, you see the flowers sort of light up very quickly and then glow back down again as you pass. So it's almost like a sensor light. As you walk, they light up. But these people sort of stop, look back down towards down the street where your house is, by this part of the district that is now known as the Scar, and looks down, looks at you one last time, but just sort of shrugs their shoulders and sort of shake their head and start walking away in the opposite direction to you.
Yeah, Tolan's, the tension in his shoulders and his body, he tries not to telegraph it, and his heavier coat sort of hides it as well as his hat. But there's, in his mind, it's just like, not now, not now, not now, not now, not now, not now, not now. Just tries to just make it by. And I think as those lights light up, there's almost a panic that hits him of here it comes. And then the moment passes and he keeps walking towards the night market.
And you can walk towards the night market, and there's a lot more people than there normally is here. It's still early on. It's earlier than the normal time you arrive. It's already flourishing, and it's very much just a happy place. It's slightly calmer than before. It doesn't seem to be as much excitement or anything like that going on, but you can still smell that food. You can smell the beer, you can smell wine, you can smell a lot of just homely sort of scents, and you can see that magic sort of like in puffs in the air, sort of radiating off of these inarqueways that are, some of them you can see a group of kids playing, and they're inarqueways playing with each other sort of around them, almost mimicking their movements. And you can see Matthias weaving amongst people, just chatting and talking to people. And you see some other stalls, and it's ones that maybe give you a bit of a weird feel as you see these tables laid out with these trinkets all over them. There's mixtures of metal and wood, and you can see intricate carvings on some of them. And then there's another stall which seems to just be exotic flowers, which you recognize, but they probably don't gain as much interest as this stall. And then you see another stall further off to the side, which looks to be almost like a table of just different types of rock and stone and things like that. And you kind of recognize a little bit of the stone like this. It's almost laid out, almost like in size order. And you can see at the very front, there's lots of bits of this. Some of it looks like pebble, and some of it's almost like a gemstone where they've just carved little animals into them.
Tolan sees these, and I assume recognizes these as sort of the new stalls from Valandris.
Mm-hmm.
And wishes that he had passed someplace where he could have grabbed a beer or something just to help smooth the edges. But I also think that he wasn't paying attention enough to have recognized one, even if he did pass it. So I think he sees the plants, and there's a part of him that registers with Nadi and just like, oh, I hope she doesn't find those. But he goes directly towards where he sees the trinkets, but is also very concerned of what he might find with the stones. But he goes to the trinkets first, as he knows those are potentially the biggest problem.
Yeah, you can walk over to the trinkets, and there is a very large man behind the stool. You don't actually realize until he stands up. He's actually sat down and seems to be talking to someone else behind the stools. He's pretty relaxed. He is broad shoulders, and he is very sort of typical from Valaris. He is very tall, he's very broad. It's almost like sun-kissed skin, but more like it's weathered. Mm-hmm. And you've seen that on sailors. You know he's crossed the sea. And very, very bright green eyes, which is very typical of people from there, and very long blonde hair, which seems to almost be tied in a knot at the back. But he's very tall, he's wearing very simple clothes, and he wears that, what some people call the Valaris smile. They're welcoming, and he smiles. He's like, "What can I do for you, friend?"
Just looking at what you've brought.
Looks like we got a new friend.
He kind of looks the gentleman over. Do you acquire these yourself?
And you see these very bushy, again, blonde eyebrows, and he sort of reaches down and strokes his very large, very tangled blonde beard. He's like, I do. Are you a collector yourself?
Used to be. Used to be a seeker as well.
And he sort of smiles at that. Anything catch your eye?
I give a passing glance at the trinkets, and I look him straight in the eyes and goes, nothing that is here on display. I'm more interested in what else you've brought.
And he raises an eyebrow. He's like, and he leans over, and it is still a very friendly smile. He's like, why, what else do you think I'd have brought?
Certainly. Someone of your obvious expertise didn't just find this.
No, but
They're
I'm not
great
going
for the
to.
tourists.
And he just sort of gestures to all of these. He's like, these are as much as many of the adults like them. I make them safe for children. And you can see almost like a little owl, and then a little like what looks like a cat, all these different animals that all have been made together that look like little clockwork moving creatures. But you can see when he just sort of puts his hand on the top of one of them, there's a blue glow. The owl wings start to flap in this metal sort of form, and you know that they've been made from something else. He's like, these are safe, if that's what you're wondering.
Well, all who seek know what can be found if you're not careful. I see you're a very careful person, but
you're worried I've got something. And he pauses and thinks, almost like he's trying to work out the words to say. You know that they have their own language, but he's just Something not good, controllable.
Something unbound.
It's a good thing to be worried about. It keeps you safe.
So, I know there are those in this city who would be phenomenally interested in something unbound, something new coming in from Volandris. Have you heard of any new expeditions?
And again, pausing. You don't think to throw you off or anything, thinking of the words. I have heard of some, in fact. And he sort of looks you up and down as if he's trying to work out whether or not to trust you or not, or just to see sort of who you are. You can't see an Anarquate anywhere. You can tell he's not a magic user. I have been on many travels in my land. Now I want to go on some here.
Indeed.
I have heard, and again sort of clears his throat, there is talk of something in the mountains. I don't know what. A monument, something to that effect. I don't know, I think that's the word for it. Just interesting.
I've been out of the circulation for a bit. Does not surprise me, though. There are many monuments. Sometimes
I have a
hide
bit
in
of
plain
one.
sight.
I have a bit of one.
Do
A
you?
man sold it to me in my land, and I think it's from here. And he sort of, you can see he's got like a belt, which you can hear there's definitely money jingling around in, but it's got lots and lots of like these leather sort of pockets around. And he's like, come round here, friend. And sort of invites you round to the other side of the stall because you can see it's kind of closed in. People don't seem to be fussing around his stall.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a couple of children here and there looking at the little animal figurines, but that's it.
Tolan goes around.
And he's like, sit, as he sort of sits down on this chair himself, and you can hear it creak as he sits down in it, and he looks quite ridiculous actually on this chair to how big he looks. And he reaches into this satchel and pulls out, I guess, a stone, which looks like maybe it was a sphere at one point, but like when you drop a rock and bits chip off of it, it's got loads of chunks out of it, but it's got a very sort of black obsidian shine to it, and he holds it in the palm of his hand. So this is from here. I don't know where, but it's from here. And you can see there's carvings as he turns it in the light from what's happening just all around as the colors sort of dance about it. And it's like, it looks like it's part of something, and some of the carvings have been chipped off, maybe where it's been dropped or whatever's happened. But it's almost like black glass. It is like obsidian.
Can I use my focused to do an inspection of this?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically looking to see if these carvings, these shapes that are on it, look like sort of primitive Inanakwe drawings that I'm familiar with. And so focused gives me a asset, I believe. And I said I wasn't going to use it. I wasn't going to use it, so I'm not going to. Man, do I ever want to spend on this? Yeah, I just don't think Toland. I'm wondering if this is interesting enough for him to pull it together. He knew what he was getting into, though, and no, he's drained. I mean, sometimes you can wish all you want, but you don't have the ability to pull the effort. So I'm just going to go and let the dice tell it.
There you go. And you he hands it to you very, like, as if it's like glass itself, and he holds it over to you. And you can roll it over in your hands, and as you do, it's got that strange light about it. You could almost swear that light comes from within it and glances all the way around, and you can see some drawings on some stones you've seen before when you were much younger.
Yeah.
You can sort of look at some of, they're very small though. They're very, very small. In fact, the closer you look, the more you see. It's like looking at a night sky and seeing stars sort of come into view the longer you look. And you can see rabbits, you can see horses, you can see huge birds and other sort of more exotic creatures. It's as if they're running around this stone. And on part of it where it's chipped, you see a very crude, very simple, very early primitive drawing of a man running. And something that looks huge with wings, and your mind drifts back to what Matthias said about the story. And it's all very, very simple, and it's all very tiny. Because of how dark it is, you wouldn't see it straight away, but if you rub your thumbs over the actual surface, you can feel it
right
there rather than see it. And he's pretty, isn't it?
I think as Toland has it in his hands, under his breath, and not with nearly the articulation that he used with the monkey, he is humming under his breath very low tones to help him see this. I'm familiar with something very similar to this.
And as you hum, just for a brief moment, again, almost like as if a wash of light, when light bounces off of something, that same sort of multicolored, like petroleum like shimmer that's in the sky glances over this rock. And this other guy doesn't seem to notice. He doesn't, he's picking up a few things and he's almost trying to find something. He quite likes that you're interested, and he's trying to find other stuff that he's got that you might be interested in.
Am I seeing it as a reflection in this surface, or am I actually seeing it on the surface?
You are seeing it on the surface.
Oh, Lord. Okay. That really concerns Toland.
You don't like it?
Oh. Well, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by it surfacing now and aligning with some of it.
No one wants to buy it. And it's heavy.
I don't have much in coin, but I could barter with you.
You want it? I thought you didn't like it.
I want to make sure no one else has it.
Oh. And as you say those words, you hear a humming, very much like how you were humming earlier. And it's sort of coming, sorry, it really made me jump. I don't know if the cat fell off something or something's happened. But there's almost like this hum, but it's not a hum, it's very musical. comes from, you're not sure whether it's around this rock, within it, or just it itself, or if it's radiating it, but you can hear it, especially on that nat 20.
This, if completed, I believe could be a problem. It is damaged right now, but if repaired...
I just found it's a rock. It's got pretty drawings on it.
Yes, they're quite lovely. And it's broken, so, but I would feel bad to not give you something for your trouble of bringing it all this way. It is heavy, as you said. Like I said, I was once a seeker. I could trade you information. I could perhaps, don't know exactly of the place that you have mentioned is, but I've been to the mountains around here. I could draw you a quick map of some of the main trails and where there's water, as that's always needed.
And he sits back and ponders for a second, looking at the rock in your hand. He's like, you draw me a map of the mountains where you have been, the trail leading up, water, resources. I'll give it to you. Hell, I even throw in the owl. And you can see this thing that's still like bouncing around on the table. It's literally only that big, but it's glowing blue, like in between all of the cracks in the metal.
Tolan just takes a quick glance over because there was something, I think, that drew him here. And now that he's found this rock, he's not as concerned about the others. He does do a quick glance at the other stones that have been carved to make sure there's no markings on any of those, whether those are just almost like just, little toy clay sculptures, or were they perhaps carved, basically taking a primitive drawing and then carving a shape around it.
You can see that it's not that they've carved around a primitive shape. You think this person's maybe seen them, like maybe on this rock itself, and then tried to carve the little in that shape. And the stones range from almost like a jasper or a green, like all range of colors. There's even a very bright red rock that's almost see-through, and it looks like it's like got a crackling fire inside it as it lights up as you sort of look over them. So
if I don't see that there's actually, having now made that connection that the rocks themselves aren't marked, that they were carved as with this as an inspiration, I actually will take a look over at the plants. Are there any plants over there that I recognize from my travels?
These are definitely from Valaris. So if you would have traveled to Valaris, you would have seen them. Otherwise, they're not really very recognizable. Some of them are very similar to the plants you've seen, but these are almost, there's no breeze here, but they're swaying and they're moving.
As he did a very quick stop over there a long time ago, I'll say that he doesn't recognize enough of it to make a choice. So he'll just say, I will draw it for you now. And yes, the owl seems quite
it's
amusing.
Cute, isn't it?
Lovely.
Look great on a windowsill.
Yes, just exactly what I was thinking. A happy little owl on my windowsill.
And he smiles at you, and you can see that it's almost like they're very old eyes. Like he's not an old man, he's just got old eyes. And you know this of these sorts of people, they're known to be very knowledgeable of the earth they are on.
Mm-hmm.
And he sort of smiles. He's like, I'll put it in a little paper bag for you, and sort of wanders over this tiny little bag, and he just watches you whilst he does it as you're looking at this rock, and just places this tiny little owl in this bag and rolls it up and gives it a bit of a shake because it seems to still be moving, and then it stops and the glow through this paper dies down. But your owl.
Thank you. So, I heard there was a storm.
Yes, it's what happens on the ocean.
Nothing peculiar.
He thinks, no, actually, I've had worse.
And came straight to the market. You didn't have any of the patrol that seemed to be so prevalent now.
No, we could not come in by the main dock because of the storm. We wanted to avoid the cliffs, so we came round further up the Goldcrest coast.
He smiles with a knowing knowledge that is also how smugglers come in.
Oh, yeah. And you know that he's probably going to know this.
Oh, yeah. And so I give him, Tolan gives this sort of half smile and a wink. Yes, of course, because of the storm, you couldn't come to the main docks.
It's very dangerous.
Terribly dangerous.
Didn't want to wreck any of my goods.
Oh, well,
Delicate,
yes.
you see.
Yes, and to have your ship be founded, here in the port would, block traffic for everyone for weeks. You were just being courteous.
Always.
Yes, always courteous. He's drawing the map while making this little small talk. So did anyone else travel with you and get off further up the Gold Coast and head in their own unique, courteous direction?
My younger brother traveled with me. I mean, he's here somewhere. God knows, he's too excited. This is his first night market. Also, and he sort of looks around. He's like, I did travel with some other friends, but they may have already moved on.
Very good. Were they seekers as well?
Most of them. And now he's just watching you because you keep asking for information. He's just watching you.
Yeah, I'm trying to be not super direct, but Toland is not subtle. I think he'll start to feel that because he's been a seeker before and had people ask lots of questions. And, well, hopefully clear sailing for the rest of your trip. And good weather for the mountains. Seasons are starting to turn, so you'll want to pack warmly for the higher elevations. He doesn't care, but he's going to start saying other things.
And he smiles, and this man is just nodding and holds out his hand as if to shake yours. Like,
yeah.
My name is Ivan Torg. Maybe we will meet again, old seeker.
Yes. Perhaps Tolan does not give his name.
He doesn't expect you to.
Torg, T-O-R-G?
Yeah, T-O-R-G. Ivan Torg.
Ivan Torg. Tolan finishes off the map and goes, this watering hole here, do take a second look. Sometimes the animals will slide in and you'll have something perish in the waters, so you just want to double check that nothing has fouled it before drawing from it.
And you can tell that he knows these things, and now he's just humoring you almost as you say these things.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, this is the equivalent of
aware.
Yeah, very aware of the, and thank you for everything.
My pleasure.
I will tell everyone about your whimsical owls.
Only about the owls, please.
Of course.
And he smiles.
And if anyone inquires, I just fell in love with this owl and nothing else.
Of course. It's not even like I know your name. Who says I gave you my real one? We're seekers.
I give him a wink. Would expect nothing less, but yes.
And there's just a polite nod. And you can see he's not doing this to be funny. It's just literally the mutual understanding of not much is known about.
Yeah.
Or
what seekers
do. And I'm gonna really take a really quick bio break, so I'll be back in just a second.
Cool. Yeah, for the rest of the cast, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here at all.
You have.
What are you doing to us? I want to know.
Talon the Seeker.
Tolan, forget the onion. Tolan's like just like pages upon pages. Like, oh my gosh, I want to know.
Should I be preparing to be interviewed by you, Mr. Talon, Mr. Seeker?
Seeker.
Yeah, not different than the churches.
Not the Inquisition.
Oh,
yes.
No,
not the same. Not the same idea. Well, and that's the fun part that Alice is playing with this is the
weaving.
The weaving that I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll just add a little bit here and a little bit there. And
nothing to see here. Tolan just bought a little whimsical owl. He likes.
Oh, like God forbid if Naughty sees that, she's gonna be like, oh. We have one of those, and many of those.
Oh, I just love this world. I love this world. I love this world so much.
I'm still waiting for a door to be relevant. So far, the only relevant door we've had is the doors to the academy, which were closed in my face. And then that's it.
I want to know what Charlie's doing.
I know, because she's got secrets too. Well, but there's
Charlie I was gonna say, what's Charlie off?
Charlie has her secrets
in her closet.
Yeah.
There's
I was just telling
more
everyone,
to our librarian.
nothing to see her at all. Tolan's just perfectly normal.
Perfectly
You all
sure.
have so many secrets.
Not sweet, innocent Nadi.
Yeah. And so yeah.
My cat is going mental right now.
So are mine.
We're gonna hop back over to Charlie.
Yay!
What is Charlie doing right now? Like you can see Armand is closing up the shop. You can see Sam sort of mooching about by the edge. You can see Sam sort of dip over the edge, and he's putting his head into the water, into the waterway. You can see him he's not trying to catch us. You can see him sort of snapping and following them and mimicking as they go.
I've mostly just been like watching. I personally find watching snakes very relaxing. they just go. Especially big ones, because they just don't go fast. But yeah, at some point she's wandered up and like changed clothes to like go out for the evening, like out of gardening type clothes and into something more just like out. What just fell? Anyway, something just fell very quietly, but it was alarming. Okay, so yeah, like she's just like layered up, like more casual clothes, and has grabbed her little terrarium and tucked that into a pocket, realizing like, this is a nice little good luck charm. Let's have it on me instead of just like in my house that was broken into. So Yeah, and is mostly just waiting for things to wind down, and since we're headed for the night market.
Yeah, Armin sort of looks at you and he's like, do you want to walk with me?
Sure.
God, we haven't done this in a while. And he's like, come on, Sam, as you see this snake just pull its head up out of the water and stands very tall, sort of shakes a little bit off this water and then sort of almost dives back down and starts following Armand. And you walk through the streets and they're really starting to light up now. And you can see a huge light coming from the season tree. That's how you can see the direction of the night market. And you see a lot of people heading there, and it looks slightly bigger than it was the first night you came. More trinkets, more things like that seem to be there. You can't see Matthias. He doesn't seem to be telling a story at the moment. He doesn't seem to be there. But otherwise, you recognize a lot of the faces. You recognize a lot of the stalls. And Armand, you can see it's sort of weaving through, sort of looking, he's like, there, and points over at the stall where you can see these plants that you've only really seen in books, never really seen before. And he's like, oh, he looks so excited. He's like, look at them. And he even grabs you and just starts dragging you over to this stall. And he's just like stands there looking at them. And the person running the stall seems to be dealing with another customer at the moment, but you can see Armand's eyes just like widen. You also notice at that point he hasn't taken off his apron. He doesn't seem to have noticed. He is still in his apron. And you see all of these plants that seem to be moving. There's a lot that are just leaves, and almost like waves of color shoot up the leaves from what they seem to be in. And there seem to be some rocks that have plants growing from them. And one of them in particular, you can see a very, very tiny one that seems to be a very tiny pebble at the back. And the plant, the flower that is growing out of it, you can see the roots come out of the rock, sort of start wrapping around it, and it's completely clear. It's almost like glass. If the rock wasn't there, you may not have even seen it. It's almost completely see-through.
Yeah. Armand's joy is absolutely infectious, and she's getting a lot of not only just like general I'm happy because my friend is happy, but also like feeling a lot of it from him even. And so she can't help but be smiling as she'll go take a closer look at that little one. And she was thinking about it earlier, and it's just intrigued at how these things are even growing without, like, she knows that there's a lot of things that can be explained just by magic, like literally hand wave magic in this world, but there's also some basis in like how things grow from the earth and how things get like their nutrients and things like that. And so she's just very intrigued at how they work.
And as you're sort of looking at this, you can see that the Armand is sort of darting from one to another. You can see him looking at what these look like, almost reeds, but the reeds themselves, they're sort of they've wrapped around the market stand, and now they're draping over the edge. They look like huge sort of long, it's not feathers, it's softer than feathers, almost like a wool, but just it's very fluffy. And you can see as people walk past it, it glows faintly, almost like just a soft yellow, and as some people walk past again, it goes out. And you can look at this tiny little stone with this almost glass flower on it, and there's a little lady who looks at it like, have you found something you like? Can I help?
Yeah, I've really only heard of these before. Like, are they common where you're from? Just like growing out of rocks?
Growing out of rocks, yes. It's from a very specific part where I'm from, and it's from some of the pebbles that sit underneath the waterfall in Valaris, and they soak up the nutrients over years and years, and then they're finally pushed down the river, and there is enough nutrients in there to keep this little thing going.
So do they ever run out, or do they just keep going for
If you
ever?
destroy them, they don't come back. If you leave them, they stay. This is, we call them Polaris or clear water flowers because they are clear like the water they grow in. We believe that is the reason for their coloring. And they react to their surroundings. Here. And she's always like, hold out your hand. And she picks up this tiny stone, and you can see it sort of flash a purple as she picks it up, and she puts it down onto your hand. And what are you feeling right now? Are you excited? Are you just intrigued?
Yeah, there's a lot of just wonder, and right now she's not overwhelmed. It's like just like there's a happy buzz around. So it's it's mostly just like intrigue and like a friendly vibe right now.
And you hold it in the palm of your hand, and it feels like it gets warm, almost like the feeling of sun on your skin. And for a moment, it's almost like water running within the flower, and it starts to change to this very calm blue, sort of turquoise. And actually a couple of leaves start to grow out, almost like with this glass. And then as Al sort of looks round, you see it has at the tips of the flowers, at the flowers of the leaves, the very same color as Al that sort of starts to bloom at the edges. And very much like him, there are bits of this glass-like flower that is distorted, but it's like it's registered what has given it the nutrients effectively. And this little woman, she's quite small, sort of bustling around, she's very, very spry, very slim. It's just, there is life in the earth, therefore flowers grow from it. If you feed the earth, you feed the flowers.
She's just very, very pleased by this and looking over and seeing if Armand has
Armand is still
found
like
something real exciting.
He's got like his arms full of things right now, and you can see him trying to, there's someone else behind the store, he's trying to buy them off of them, and they're putting them in like a crate. And the lady sort of rests her hand on your arm again, and it's just like, we will not know what it looks like. It all depends on the person who feeds it. And she says, you see? And she reaches down underneath sort of like the thing where it's all settled on, and you see this glass flower much taller, and it is bright purple. It is, the stem is purple, the flower is like a bright red with a yellow center, and she smiles. It's like, this is the one that grows because it's near me. And the petals sort of fold out and roll. They're very, very long, and they sort of dip down and curl just a tiny bit at the end, with these sort of stems of tiny little buds coming from the center of the flower. And there's that smile as her Inakwe flutters down as this bird, just this tiny, tiny bird settles. It almost looks like it would be a robin, but you see that very purple shimmer, very similar to the one in the flower. It's like, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
They are very beautiful, very, they're not rare. There are many of them, but you feed them with goodness, and then they flourish.
expressions. Well, looking over him, I don't know when he's going to be done, but I'd love to take this home.
And she sort of smiles like, do you like plants very much? Then please have it as a gift. It is already attached itself to you.
Yeah, sure.
And she smiles and she just sort of points at it as you're holding it, and you see the same colors from Al start blooming. It's almost like tiny little buds all the way up the stalk. It doesn't bend at all. It seems to be very straight.
Thanks.
No problem. And you can see Armand, he's got like this box full of plants. I'm going to take this back and then I'm going to come back. Sam, come on. And you can see Sam has sort of materialized into a more solid form, and there's just this small satchel attached to the top of his back where you know that there's probably some seeds or something in there. It's like a tiny little pack that he carries around, and they disappear off. And in the direction, you can see Tolan sort of leaving a stall as you haven't seen he hasn't seen you. It's not like you can see his back as he sort of walks away.
Just a little surprised to see him out here amid the bustle. But yeah, I think
he would look very uncomfortable, even probably from a distance. He would look man on a purpose.
She probably feels it from a distance.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, it's
not getting close to that.
He's not subtle about the, and we're done here.
Yep. So, well, she's interested in like what he was here for. Looking down at, there's just like trinkets around. Definitely does not approach. We're just kind of like hovers around, checks out some of these other plants, especially this like soft thing, and is like touching everything because
I was going to say it's all very touchable, like these big, they're almost like clouds on reeds, and they sort of glow, but they're very long. And
just enamored.
Yeah, so you sort of lose yourself to this stall, and shortly after you know that Armand's going to be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But we're now going to hop over to Nadie and Paula, and you have all arrived at the cabaret. There are a lot of people there, and you can be effectively behind the scenes and getting ready. You can't see Niles. He's in his office all day. For some reason, he seems to be in a bit of a mood. But he seems to be fine with you. He greets you both, but then dismisses himself very, very quickly. And you can see Alexander behind the bar, who gives you a nod as you go through. But what do you do to get ready?
As we enter, I lean in towards sorry, you just said his name. I'm already was it Alexander? Okay, yeah. I lean in towards Alexander, and I'm like, tonight we're doing the statue.
Oh, okay.
And then I go up to the musician too, and I'm like, the statue tonight.
And he gives you like a bit of a wink.
Yeah.
And you can see another one of the other members of the band or the instrumental, this female just gives you a little wave. You don't sometimes, like, it's not necessarily a name you remember, but she's always been nice. She's just always there and just always there.
Nadie, are you excited?
That's a word. Yeah, sure.
You get to break in your new costume.
Yeah, hopefully it goes over well. First time I didn't really have time to think about it. This time I've had time to think about it, and I think I'm overthinking things in my head.
Well, did you practice?
Well, yeah, I always dancing.
Awesome. So then you should be just fine. You probably have nothing to worry about.
Okay.
Listen, worst case scenario, if you trip and fall, just roll with it. Act like it was part of the routine.
Like
Make it
on the
really
ground?
dramatic, like getting back up and, as if something has pulled you down to the ground.
So you mean literally roll on the ground, not just
Yeah.
Okay.
People love that. They'll eat it up.
Okay, so if I trip and fall, roll on stage. Got it.
You're gonna kill it. But I think I'm gonna need some help getting ready tonight. I'm doing my alternate routine, which is related to my normal routine, but slightly different.
Okay. Do I need to wrap you up in the fabric again?
Yes, but this time, instead of doing my whole body, we're just gonna do like a bodice situation and like a unitard kind of thing.
Sure.
And then while I'm getting wrapped up all mummified, I paint my arms and legs like muscles, like I did for the original performance. But then I cover it with like a paste that I make by mixing just like powder and water, and I make this paste, and I slather it all over on top of the muscles, and it dries very quickly. And I fill up, or no, I don't have to fill anything up, but and I let that dry, and I kind of am like, I'm trying not to move. How do I look, Nadi?
Fascinating. I'm actually quite curious to see what you're going to do with this one.
Oh, this is the fun one. I think we're gonna get started soon. Do you need help with anything? I mean, my arms are a little stiff right now.
I'm okay. Really. I can do my makeup and I have the costume, so I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yes. I'd say
Okay.
break a leg, but I'm worried right now.
Oh, I'll break a leg, all right. And
Just not literally, please.
yeah, no,
Okay.
definitely not literally.
Okay. I mean, you look pretty cool. I'm interested to see what you're going to do.
And I'll kind of like rock onto the stage.
And Nadie, how do you look right now as Paula waddles on stage?
So I've got my costume on and it's got that scarf woven through it. So depending on how I'm moving, there's this effect of rippling water. And you sort of see these flowers. There's an iridescence to the water lily flowers. So it's as the water moves, it's almost like the lilies are moving with the ripples of the water type of thing. And it's almost like the colors are reminiscent of sort of a Monet painting at the same time. And the makeup's done up a very similar way where, last time it was very flashy and everything like that. It's more muted and you wouldn't notice the finer details she put onto the face unless you got closer. But away, the effect just kind of makes it almost seem like it's just water and flowers sort of blending the whole way through the form.
Perfect. And Paula, what sort of dance do you do this evening on stage as that music kicks in?
So when the music starts, it's like this very bassy cello and in sudden strokes. And with each stroke, Paula will kind of crack and move a little bit at a time as if she's a statue. And she walks off the stage through the audience towards the bar. And then eventually she kind of leans on the bar and and slaps the bar counter. And Alexander knows this routine. He pours her a glass of wine and she just dumps it on her head. And as the wine drips down, the the paste that has hardened on her arms softens and melts away to reveal the muscles beneath, kind of like the unraveling. And so with her exposed muscles now revealed, she turns into a lithe, limber ballet dancer and floats back up to the stage with incredible grace and elegance, as if she has broken free from the shackles of her skin and has embodied freedom itself.
And you can move as fluidly as you want it on this stage. You know this routine. Alexander looks a bit like, oh, here we go again, like sort of getting stuff ready before you kick off. And you can see his little dormouse sort of sitting on the bar watching, just like he is, off to the side. And when you finish, there is a round of applause. And you can see a lot of the regulars in. And you also see at the back of the room, sort of walking in at this point, Matthias, and his hair is still incredibly scruffy, but it looks like he's tried to do something with it. He is wearing his shirt, he is wearing his trousers and his braces, but you can see what looks to be a smart, almost like corduroy, sort of thick grey jacket with patches all over the arms, but you get the feeling that this is probably his best jacket. And he wears a very, very smart pair of shoes, which probably look like the newest thing he's wearing. He doesn't sit at a table, he's not in obvious sight, but it's his very neat blue hair, which you can see all sort of combed over, sort of like to one side, but still very scruffy at the front. And it's Sophia that catches your eye at first, as she sort of swirls around him as he walks in the door and settles on his shoulder as he just leans against it, sort of in a darker part of the room, almost like not that he doesn't want to be seen, but he's just enjoying watching at the moment.
Paula definitely pretends not to see him as she continues her performance and takes her bow, and then moves off backstage. Oh my gosh, Matthias is out there, Nadi, he's out there. He saw.
Well, that's good, right? That's what you wanted.
I know, but I'm nervous now.
Okay, now we're in the same boat.
Well, not quite. You still have to go.
Yeah, so do you.
You first.
Fine.
Oh, I think that's the curtain opening. Better get out there.
You better too, because you're done with your dancing. You can go out there and sit in the audience and, maybe have a drink with him. I mean, clearly you've already had some wine, but maybe more?
Well, I'm all wet from the wine, and
here,
I probably smell like
she's gonna throw a towel at her. Like, here, I hear those work wonders. That should help.
Fine, Nadi, you win. And as I'm drying myself down, I'll make my way out to greet Matthias. I probably won't say anything. I'll just kind of give him the hello, and then be pointing to the stage, keep an eye out,
And he just sort of sees you and just gives half a smile, just a very small wave back. And Nadi, what sort of dance do you do as you are called onto the stage?
So I've come onto the stage, and actually Prema has brought the terrarium, and he's put it in the center, and I have my little conch shell that goes along with it. So as the music starts to play, I start playing the shell to go along with it, and as the music rises, move my body to mimic what the water would look like flowing with it, but also getting the light to brighten and then lower itself. So it almost seems like the stage has turned into this underwater grotto. And every single time the music gets louder, the light brightens up, as do the motions. But then as it gets softer, she pulls back and the lights will dim. And the very last note, she'll sustain a little bit, but it slowly fades off and the light will just completely dim out and the stage will go dark.
And again, there's that round of applause, but the lights have gone fully out, so you can even leave the stage without anyone seeing you, as Puma probably scoops up that terranium and dashes off after you or before you, whichever you think they would do. And you can see Alexander again clapping, because he's never seen you do it, but he is actually clapping quite a lot along with the rest of this audience. And you can see Matthias applauding as well. And then after a few more dances, whilst you're sort of sorting yourself out, you can see that the music within the cabaret just sort of lightens up a bit, as in it's a bit more, not jazzy, that's the wrong word, a bit more almost like swing dance music, as people settle down, get more drinks, and probably wait for the next act. What do? You get changed, or what do you do?
Oh, absolutely. Like I'll put back on, like, you know, the day clothes and just very carefully fold up the newly made costume and tuck it away. And actually the terrarium's kind of been wrapped up and tucked away with it, along with the shell. And Prim is kind of like fussing over it too. And I'll wander back out to the bar and sort of just sit down and, you know, big smile, just sort of absorbing everything going on. And, you know, take a look at it. Hey, Alex, could I have my usual?
And he's just like coming right up, and he sort of with that, so he leans down, and there's that water and that umbrella, and he puts it, he's like, I put a different one in today. But, yeah.
Oh, so not the rest this time. So pick it up right away and start spinning it.
Yeah, and you see a vine of a plant grow all the way around the umbrella as it spins. He's like, I saw you like plants.
Oh, I love it. This one's perfect for me. Thank you for thinking of it.
No problem. And you can just, he sort of goes back to washing, sort of, he's wiping down the bar, serving drinks to other people. You can see this little dormouse just sits probably near you, as there's not a lot of chaos going around, but he sits near the glass and just watches him go backwards and forth as he works his job. And this tiny little dormouse, you can see it sort of flare up that tiny little bit green every time he sort of moves faster or almost drops something. He seems to drop like a glass, and you see this little mouse sort of flare up very quickly and then calm down again. And it sort of looks up at you and looks at the umbrella and is trying to look at Prima, just out of interest more than anything, out of curiosity, but looks quite timid at the same time.
I'd like lower the umbrella so it was at more of its level, and like purposely sort of like touch it every so often to keep it spinning. And Prima would actually probably sort of sit on the other side watching it too, but also like looking up and then looking back down and trying to do like that awkward eye contact, like, I just want to be friends, but I don't want to scare you, but I really want to be your friend, but I don't want to scare you.
You can see that nose twitch on this tiny little dormouse, because it is tiny, as it sort of reaches up on its hind legs. It's looking at the umbrella and every now and then glancing over at Prima, and just watches as this umbrella turns. And Paula, where are you right now? Are you just at the bar, or?
Once the lights went out, Paula definitely made her way up to Matthias and asked him how he liked the show.
And he looks at you, it's just, you can dance great.
Oh, that doesn't sound very enthusiastic.
No, I mean it's really good.
You think so? You I mean, I take your opinion very seriously, because you're a very skilled performer, and
I liked it. It was good. And you can see he's looking very awkward, like shifty eyes looking around at everything. Looks nervous. You can't tell, but he seems a bit like flushed in his cheeks, and you can mainly tell that from Sophia, who's glowing just a little bit darker blue around the cheeks as well. And it was fantastic. I've not seen anything like it, but it was really good.
Thanks, Matthias. That really means a lot to me. The real reason why I asked if you would come today is because I want to apologize in person, face to face, for what happened at the library. I put you in danger, and I jumped to conclusions when you've been nothing but nice to me, and I'm really sorry.
It's okay, I get it. Not many people trust magic users, I understand.
It's not about you being a magic user. You know, I love magic. That's why I work on the magic side of the library. I mean, magic is great. But things have been really weird recently, and it's just been overwhelming for me. And I think that it got the best of me yesterday.
And he nods. It's understandable. It was an unnerving experience. But we don't need to talk about that now. I need to go to the night market later, but I've got some time. And you can see what the cabaret does every single night. It's that swing music picks up, and some people start to dance. There's always that person who's had too much to drink that definitely starts everything off. As soon as they seem to be really going for it, you see other people start to dance as well. And Matthias pushes himself off the wall and awkwardly straightens up and tries to pull down his jacket a bit. It looks like maybe it's a tiny bit too big for him in the sleeves, and you see him almost roll up the sleeves to stop them from falling down. And
you don't need that right now, Matthias. Come on.
No,
loosen up.
He holds out his hand. He's like, "You're not the only one who can dance."
Oh, really?
And he just offers his hand. I don't do what you do. I do swing.
I've dabbled.
And there's a really awkward smile, and he's looking at his hand that's still not been taken. He's like, I mean, we don't have to.
Oh, no. I really would like to. And I reach out and take his hand.
And he actually looks like his shoulders relax slightly as this swing music starts to kick off. He's like, okay, come on then. And you see Matthias loosen up a bit. Like, you could see how rigid he was standing, especially from a distance, like upright, like a soldier almost. And you see him pull Paula onto the dance floor amongst these other people. And as this sort of happens, you see George, this tiny little dormouse, sort of pull out another umbrella and is holding it up to Prima and just spinning it around. And it's a sun rising and falling on an orange cocktail umbrella.
I looked down at the two and be like,
now that's how romance stories start.
And this dormouse always doesn't just pay attention, it's just spinning this umbrella faster and faster, the sun going faster and faster. And that's where we'll leave Doors of Dunera this week. So, thank you everyone for being here. This is like my happy game every single week. We would love to hear your thoughts over in our Discord, so please head over there and check it out, as well as all the links that are coming up in chat right now. This couldn't be possible without our amazing sponsors in the form of Mage Hand Press, where you can see their links down there, and also Bad in the Storm, where you can get a mug the size of your head. Which is, did we decide it was the same size as your bicep? Yeah, so literally,
Yes.
my head is the same size
Absolutely
as Crystal's bicep and this mug. So you can get all that in the links over there. Other than that, we'll see you on Friday, because we do a rerun of this on a Friday. So grab your snacks, grab coffee, come and join us and rewatch it with us in chat. Other than that, we will see you next Monday, and keep evoking emotions, everyone. We'll see you then. Bye.
Bye, 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 bye.
Looks like we got a new friend!